This is a project that is using a kit that we have that is called Sheena's Pointed Petals, Dies, and Stamps. And it's an amazing kit. And I am actually going to do a little different take on a surprise happy birthday greeting for someone in your life. So here's some of the tools I'm going to use. I've got beautiful background paper I'm actually going to use to make the petals of the flower. It's a multi-layer flower. You can create 3 different sizes, and that's the front cover of the die cut. And if you want to do a different version, oh, well, I'm sorry, there are the dies. And then if you want to do a different version, you also in this kit are going to get these amazing stamps. And if you want to color them in, all you have to do is use your Spectrum Noir markers to be able to color them in to give a completely different look. But for my version, I'm going to use these background papers to create my project. So the first thing you want to do is I'm going to cut my paper on my Fiskars cutter. I love that Fiskars cutter. If you're brand new to crafting or card making or scrapbooking, I highly recommend it. I've been using it for a gazillion years. It's just, I think, the best cutter out there. But anyway, I wanted to use this paper because I want my petals to have different texture and different looks to them. I don't want just the same kind of boring petals. So to run it through my Cuttlebug machine, I'm actually just going to slim down the paper a little bit to trim it and to make it fit through the Cuttlebug successfully. So I'm actually using 2 tones. I'm using the pink paper and I'm using the purple paper. And what's kind of neat about that paper too is that's actually embossed or raised images. You're seeing the black scrolly work. So it's going to add a little bit more texture and certainly make the finished look of the flowers much more interesting than just kind of a plain, straight, semi-boring flower. Okay, so it's time to take those strips of paper, and now I'm going to use my Cuttlebug to actually use the die cuts from the kit. And I apologize, Sarah, my Gemini is not available at the moment, so I'm using my Cuttlebug. And if you're not familiar with Anna Griffin's Cuttlebug, which is one of my favorite products as well, I'm going to do a whole video on that. So you create a sandwich, and again, I'll explain that in the other video. And then, of course, you're just going to run it through multiple times to cut out the size petals that you want. So I've run the dies through the Cuttlebug several times, and I'm actually doing 2 different size petals, the smallest and the medium size. I'm not going to use the large size for this project. I'm just going to use the 2, and then I'm going to use these to layer. Notice too how the colors really work beautifully. I love that texture on some of the petals to make it much more interesting. Now, of course, I can't stand it. I have to do more, and this is one of my favorite techniques in the whole wide world, and it's inking. You just take an ink pad and you're just going to run it along the sides of whatever it is. It could be the outside of a card. In this case, I'm doing it on the petals because I think it makes it just much more interesting and gives it a ton more depth. So I'm going to do all the petals just like that before I actually put them all together in the project. Okay, so all my petals are now inked. As you can see, everything's ready to go, including the little center petal or center spot. Now, if you think about a flower in nature, flowers are not one-dimensional. They're not flat. They're very curvy and beautiful. So you want to curve your flowers as well. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a Spectrum Noir marker and I'm going to hold it with my thumb and just roll it over the marker to curve it. And you just do it a couple little times. You could use any marker, any kind of round thing like that. That just happened to be handy, so I used it. So I'm going to do that to all the petals as well before I'm going to glue all the petals together in the project. Okay, so now we have the petals all inked and they're also curved. So I'm just going to grab some glue and you're just going to use a little dot of it. You could also use hot glue if you wanted to. But you're going to first, though, arrange the petals so that there's a mixture of colors and texture. So kind of get them in a position that looks good to you. That's kind of what I like to do first, so I sort of know the order I'm going in. So you put a little dollop of glue, but I want you to notice too, when you grab the next one, layer it over the top of the last one, just a little bit, as you can see on the left, because again, I think that's more just like nature. And I think it makes the final project look more voluptuous, kind of fuller and better looking, quite frankly. So the big flower, the background flower, is done, and isn't it amazing? It's kind of coming together already. It never ceases to amaze me what you can do with just simple pieces of paper when you have the right tools. And now we'll work on the littler flower. So now I put the little flower together and they're ready to be layered one to the other. I do want to add just a little stem thing in the center. I'm not exactly sure what you call that officially, so it's probably not a stem. Probably you know You can leave a comment below if you know. But anyway, I bend it a little bit to make it sort of a cupped feeling. I just use my nail because, of course, with the flower, that's not going to be flat either. So I just, once again, glued that in the center. I'm going to hold it for just a second. And now the two are ready to be glued together. One little tip I'll share with you right here is I like to turn it a little bit just to make sure that there's not the same color on top of the same petal. So just to make it, again, visually much more interesting, as you can see right there. I like the purple against the pink. So it works out pretty well, makes the flower look more interesting. So this is part of my unique birthday greeting. I actually took a 12 by 12 sheet of kind of like a bluish colored paper, and I cut it in half. I stamped on it, happy birthday to you, and I'm going to add my flower to the bottom of it. After that, I'm going to cut off the top, just trim it a little bit. I'm going to create 2 holes, and I'm going to put a piece of ribbon on there so it can hang on a doorknob. So we're coming up to wrapping up the project. I trimmed the top off, and before I glue the flower down, I'm actually going to use my We Are Memory Keepers. It is my favorite hole punch in the whole wide world. I've been using that for a long time. And I believe we still have it online if you want to check it there. And I'm just eyeballing it. I probably should be a little more exact, but hey, that's how I roll. Anyway, so I'm just going to do 2 holes on either side. And again, I'm just kind of, oh, I was pretty close. That's pretty good. And then I'm going to put some ribbon through it in just a second. But wait, as they say in our business, I couldn't stand it. I thought the card needed more pizzazz. So I brought out my black stamp pad, and I'm going to ink all the outside edges of it. Look at the difference. Isn't that amazing? Just a little ink kind of ages it, just makes it look more rustic. And it's such an easy, simple technique. So now I am going to stick some glue on my little flower that I made. And again, I think it's interesting. Look, there's just kind of basic paper, and then all of a sudden, if the glue would work, when you turn it around, it's going to be so different. I also am going to add a little glue to the outside edges right there around the center, only because the flower's got some depth to it. It's got a little bit of weight to it, so I want to make sure it's going to stay put since I'm going to be hanging it on a door. And now, of course, I'm going to place the flower down. I'm going to press it down pretty good. I'm going to let that dry. You can see I moved a little bit. You got a little bit of give time when you're working with glue. And then, of course, in a second, I'm going to actually take the ribbon and I'm going to put it through the holes, add teeny little knots on the back side, and then it's basically going to be done. So you'll see I'll do the ribbon here in just a second to finish it up. There we go. I've knotted the ribbon on, and now it's ready to hang. And in just a second, I'll show you what it looks like. And there it is, hanging on a door, and I think that would be a fun surprise, a welcome home note as well. It could be happy birthday, I love you, happy Valentine's Day, happy Mother's Day. It's just a different way to surprise somebody with a great greeting.